This week on HBO's Inside the NFL. The Chiefs showed the world that the AFC was still up for grabs by knocking off the Broncos. The Packers were stunned in Indianapolis as well. Mike Holmgren joins us as they prepare for Dallas. We got a never-before-seen look at Steelers coach Bill Cowher from the people closest to him, including his dad. And a look back at former 49ers great Roger Craig, as versatile off the field as he was on it. And now, the show the pros watch, Inside the NFL, with your hosts, Len Dawson, Nick Bonacati, Chris Collinsworth, and Jerry Glanville.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's show. The race is on for those playoff spots. There are 14 teams either in first place by themselves, tied, or just one game out. So the race is on. But a strange week last week. Now, I'm telling you something, Jerry. I thought that I knew these teams and how they're going to perform. But last week, how could you imagine the Colts? They're 0-10, putting 41 points on the board and beating the world champion Packers.
Well, the surprise is them putting 41 points on the board. But playing hard is not. Other than their San Diego Charger game, this team has spilled its guts. They fly around, and they're one of the best hitting teams in the league, and I'm proud of this football team.
And I also thought there was going to be a battle taking place in Tampa Bay between the Bucs and the Patriots.
Battle. Don't insult the veterans of this country calling that a battle. I have never seen a team take a worse whipping than what the New England Patriots did last week. Those guys couldn't wait to get on the bus after that game.
You're talking about quitting, Chris, and this team quit right after the coin toss. That was a huge embarrassment.
Well, at least that game was decided by the players. I was in San Francisco watching the 49ers play the Panthers. And of all things, a pass interference on Tyrone Poole. I'll tell you what a bad call that was. Put the ball on the 6-yard line, set up the first touchdowns for the 49ers, and totally changed the football game.
You know something? I've been saying for years that the league has had their head in the sand regarding the pass interference rule. There is no way that they should ever have a 50-yard game just because some player bumped into another player. You know, you go to college,
Yes,
Lenny, they
I
say
went to
you
college.
learn from college.
Yes.
Well, the NFL ought to learn from the college and change the NFL rules.
Well, there are rules in the National Football League that could cover that. They could change things. For example, we have face masking, roughing the punter. There's intentional and there is the unintentional. The same thing could apply to pass interference. If it's intentional, a guy tackles a guy to prevent a touchdown, then throw the flag. It's right there, whether it's a 20-yard, 30-yard, 50-yard gain. But if it isn't, just a little bumping around a little bit, then make it a 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Lenny, I couldn't agree with you more, but there was another rule change a couple years ago that defensive backs, if they look back for the football, then there was allowed to be a little incidental bumping and contact going on. But this rule, all it does is it forces the contact. So now the guy looks back, but he has to know where the receiver is, so he's feeling around on the guy like that. And so now, because of this rule change, there's more contact down the field.
Well, the reason we're bringing this up is it seems that every week there's an interference call that has a bearing on who's going to win and who's going to lose in the National Football League. Last week produced some of the most unpredictable games you'll see all year. Let's start with the game we discussed a little earlier, New England at Tampa Bay. Now, who would have thought this one would be a blowout?
The serenity above Houlihan Stadium cloaked the chaos below as Buccaneer fans knew the stumbling Patriots were ripe for the taking. The powerful Patriot offense gained 16 yards on 16 plays in the first half and was held without a first down.
Can't play soft. We just got to go make tackles. Don't give them anything big. We don't give anything big, man, we're going to get a heck of a win today, okay?
Hardy Nickerson heard the chant. Then he and other Bucks like Derek Brooks, number 55, joined the chorus. The Patriots belly flopped and the Bucks boogied as pewter power broke the spirit of Drew Bledsoe.
We're getting a good rush on them, man. Just keep on humming.
They keep coming on me. They're going to give up.
Yeah.
They're going to give up.
Hey, man, keep the stick in your hand. Just keep the stick in your hand. Keep fighting. We're doing good.
Solo right move, color power O check.
Here's to number 40. Let him do his thing. The A-Train.
Play by brutal play, Mike Allstott pounded the Pats into pulp.
Get through there. Get through there. Get through there.
Mike Allstott is playing like a giant among little kids today. Allstott is just pounding.
Oh, Mike. Way to toe it. Way to blow. Way to blow.
Here's the snap. Hand off to Red. He hurdles. He's got it in. Touchdown.
The efficient Buccaneer offense rarely dazzles, but seizes every opportunity to score.
Throwing the pass. Caught. Touchdown. Tampa Bay. Game 4.
That's a good job. Let's remember why we did this. Keep working our butts off. Keep this thing going. Good job. Good job.
Middle of the week that the eye of the tiger was coming back. We had to reestablish ourselves at home, and we did that. Now, there's going to be a lot of talk about us winning 8 games, and, is this a milestone and all that? I don't think anybody here came to be 500. But concentration, preparation equals execution.
Yes, sir.
How about a little get better on 3?
Yes, sir. Get better on 3. 1, 2, 3. Get better.
It was the 25th anniversary of the undefeated 1972 World Champions. While Nick Buoniconti represented the no-name defense, a similar bunch of anonymous Dolphin defenders shut down the Buffalo Bills. Even the ghost of Paul Warfield appeared in the graceful form of Lamar Thomas, number 85. Dan Marino set an NFL record by throwing his 10th straight touchdown pass to a 10th different receiver. The convincing victory was one even the old master Don Shula would have been proud of. The offensive fireworks that used to light up Texas Stadium have mostly been reduced to duds this season. But last Sunday, Emmitt Smith looked to relight the Cowboys' fuse. Smith's tough running produced 99 yards on the ground, and Troy Aikman also tried to reignite his struggling offense. However, Dallas managed just 2 field goals and a 6-0 lead before the Redskins seemingly took control of the game.
Goal at the 4. Hand off to Allen. Running right. Turns it outside. Turns the corner. Touchdown. Washington Redskins.
Terry Allen and the ageless Henry Ellard helped Washington build a 14-6 fourth-quarter lead.
Going for that in the end zone. Caught. Oh, what a catch. That was masterful, Frank.
But in the final minutes, the Cowboys rose from the ashes as Michael Irvin's touchdown catch completed a clutch 97-yard drive. Dallas tied the game with a 2-point conversion and then had a chance to win it with time running out.
8 seconds are on the clock. Snap, ball down, kick in the air, has the distance, it's good, with 4 seconds left.
The huge win breathed new life into Jerry Jones' Cowboys. They'll hope to continue to resuscitate their season this week against the Packers. Last Sunday, even the tiniest cheeseheads had to believe Green Bay would win big against the 0-10 Colts. And early on, Dorsey Levens and the Packers certainly played like men among boys.
And he gives it to Levens, trying to find the corner. Levens to the 50, the 45, to the 40, down the sideline. He could be gone. He will score the touchdown. And the Packers have gone in from 52 yards away.
But after Green Bay built a 14-3 first-quarter lead, the Colts stormed back for 21 unanswered points.
Throws Brett Favre, sets up, looks, throws one over the middle of the field. Picked out by Blackman. Robert at the 50-yard line. Ladders at the Bowser. 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15-10, 5, touchdown!
In one of the wildest shootouts of the year, Brett Favre fired 2 scoring strikes to Antonio Freeman to help tie the score at 38 in the fourth quarter. The Colts' Paul Justin, however, matched Favre pass for pass, throwing for a career-high 340 yards. With less than 2 minutes remaining in a tied game, Ken Dilger's catch put Indianapolis on the Green Bay 1-yard line. Instead of going for the winning touchdown, however, the Colts elected to kneel on the ball 3 times to run the clock down. And with just 3 seconds left, they ensured that they would have the last shot at victory.
Snap, it's down, it's up, the kick is on the way. Colts win! Colts win! Wow! It has been a long, long time coming, but the Colts get their first win against the Packers.
The huge upset marked the 3rd straight season the Colts have defeated a defending Super Bowl champion.
Paul Justin winds up beating the Packers, and this week they'll face Troy Aikman and the Dallas Cowboys. Now let's bring on Packers head coach Mike Holmgren to talk about what's going on in Green Bay. And Mike, I know you've talked about this game a lot, but what happened against the Colts, and what did you say to your team afterwards?
Well, I didn't have to say a whole lot, Chris. I mean, the players knew. We got a fairly veteran team, and the players knew that they hadn't played up to their capabilities, particularly on defense, and they have a lot of pride on defense. So I didn't have to say a whole lot. We wanted to make the corrections and be real honest with what happened in that game. That was the big thing. And Paul Justin had a great game. And you know, no one died. We're going to come back, and you know, I expect particularly the defensive team, they'll have a fine game on Sunday.
Mike, has your team really had a focus all year long?
I think so, Nick. It's an interesting thing to discuss, though, the repeat and all the stuff we kind of ground through the first 7 games. But I think the focus has been there. It's just that there have been other things, I think, that enter the minds of a player when they're trying to repeat, and people are talking to them all the time about that. They're human beings, and I think it's inevitable.
Michael, if you look at your defense, now they dominated last year. They're #1 in defense. This year I look at them, they're ranked 23rd. And they really have not really been up to the task game after game. Are you really concerned about them?
Well, it has been a concern. You know, Fritz and I sat down during the bye week and really tried to dissect what had happened. We just didn't think we were flying around like we had last year. You know, we've had basically the same people, but, you know, we've had a little bit of an injury problem, but we try not to make an excuse of that. And then I thought we've played better since the bye, and we have played better since the bye on defense, except for last Sunday, which was probably the worst effort in the 6 years I've been here.
Mike, the problems that we've seen on your defense, a lot of it has to do with injuries. Of course, Reggie White, Gilbert Brown had problems all season long, really. What's their status for this one?
Well, Chris, I think they're both going to play now. How long they can play and how effective they are remains to be seen. But the training staff is working real hard on those guys. They're not practicing a lot this week, but I suspect they'll play on Sunday. It'd be pretty hard to keep a player out of this game, probably on either side.
Mike, give me some idea of what it's like in Green Bay this week. I know that really for the past 4 or 5 years, all they've been talking about is the possibility of getting the Cowboys at Lambeau Field. It has to be nuts there.
Yeah, it really is. There's a special atmosphere. This is a special place anyway, as you know. But there's a special atmosphere this week. And the fans have been long-suffering. They look at Dallas as the team that stopped us, not only the year previous in the championship game, but the 2 years prior to that. And so they blame Dallas for a lot of stuff. And they said, wait until we get them up here. And like I told the team, hey, be careful what you pray for, because now all of a sudden we got them up here. Let's see what we can do.
All right, Mike. Well, we appreciate the fact you've taken some time to be with us, and good luck this week against Dallas.
Thanks, Chris, and you guys take care.
Guys, Mike Holmgren's not going to offend anybody in Dallas this week.
Well, maybe Mike isn't going to offend anybody in Dallas, but Jerry, you can certainly do that. Let's talk about this game, Dallas at Green Bay. When this schedule came out before the season, I said this could be the game to determine who is the best in the NFC. This is certainly not the case right now because both are fighting for a playoff spot. Now, after getting beat last week by Indianapolis, what about Green Bay?
Well, let me tell you, last week the Packers could not stop the 3 wide receivers on 1st and 2nd down. And if you go over to the other game Dallas was playing, they were running that same formation last week.
Well, they are not going to be running that formation this time against the Green Bay Packers. I'll tell you why. They're going to go to double tight and run Emmitt Smith. Why? Because last week Reggie White was ineffective against the Colts. Gilbert Brown is going to play, but he is not going to be 100%, so I think they can run against them.
I don't think so. What you left out, they're going to add George Kuntz. The Packers are coming back with their middle linebacker who's been hurt all year, and then you got to add the Brett Favre factor. Brett Favre playing at home, hard to beat, and I think if you look at the coaches, the Packers got the best football.
Well, I don't know about that. Jerry Jones did a pretty good job last week for the Dallas Cowboys. I like the Dallas Cowboys, even though the Packers have won 21 straight games during the regular season at Lambeau Field. Well, that's our thoughts. Chris, what about you and Nick?
Lenny Dawson out on a limb taking the Dallas Cowboys.
I think we're going to saw that limb off, though. You know something? I think, Chris, in this ball game, the matchup has to be cornerback Doug Evans going against wide receiver Michael Irvin. Now, you're not going to stop Michael Irvin, but I think Evans can slow him down a little here.
You know, I watched the Cowboys last week against the Redskins, and my impression of that team is that they just look so slow on the offensive side of the ball. They don't come up with those big chunks of yardage down the field that we see so typically in the National Football League. On the other side of the ball, you have the big play offense of the Green Bay Packers. Dorsey Levens, Robert Brooks, Antonio Freeman. I think ultimately those big plays will be the difference. I like the Packers.
I think one of the reasons why Dallas is struggling is because they have a much banged up offensive line, and it's getting old. Mark Tuinei comes back, so what? Eric Williams, he has a bad ankle. But I think this is the week that the Dallas Cowboys find out that Green Bay's defense rises to the occasion. They play with pride, and they win the 22nd straight at Lambeau Field.
And once again, Lenny Dawson is wrong. Thank you. Well, you know, Dallas is struggling to stay alive in the NFC East, but the first place team in that division, the New York Giants, they're in total control of their own destiny.
For those of you in the NFC East who still can't believe it, let's go over this one more time. 12 weeks into the season, the Giants stand atop the division. They even have a passing game.
Stops, looks, throws deep down the right sideline, looking for a man, and it's caught by Toomer, and he'll go in for the score.
Amani Toomer's touchdowns take the Giants to a 10-0 halftime lead. The Cardinals came back to tie the game behind their own aerial attack. Jake Plummer threw for a rookie record 388 yards, but the Giants sacked him 8 times and shut down the Cards' ground game as both teams engage in the NFC East's familiar brand of jarring football. New York's offense broke the tie in the fourth quarter with a punishing 9-minute, 17-play march, capped by Danny Cannell's second touchdown pass. This week, the Giants take their 4-0 division record into Washington, while Arizona heads to Baltimore, which last Sunday played host to the new leader of the Eagles' quarterback derby. But while Bobby Hoying relished the opportunity to make his first start, he had to do it behind the same offensive line that hasn't cut the mustard all season. The Ravens sacked Hoying 9 times, while Baltimore's own youngster, rookie halfback Jay Graham, drilled the Eagles' defense for 154 yards on 35 carries. Despite Graham's heroics, the Ravens scored just 1 touchdown, a 29-yard catch and run by Michael Jackson. The Eagles tied the game at 10 on Charlie Garner's late touchdown run, but missed a chance to win it when Mark Say, number 81, was knocked over by his own teammate on a last-second Hail Mary. In overtime, the Eagles again positioned themselves to avoid the NFL's first tie since 1989.
The kick is away. It's way off to the right. It takes away what would have been a remarkable, uplifting afternoon.
The up-and-down Oilers seemed ready for liftoff after winning 4 out of 5. But last Sunday, the Tennessee offense went into a tailspin. The Oilers did come up with an emergency flight plan to keep the game close in the second half.
Rodney Thomas, the only setback. Quick pitch. He wants to run to the left side. Here's a flanker reverse. Davis is going to throw a pass. He's got a man open. Touchdown Oilers!
But by that time, Mark Brunell and company were well on their way to Jacksonville's 12th straight win at home. The Jaguars continue the chase for the AFC Central crown this week in Cincinnati. On cold days, outdoor plumbing is known to freeze. So too can an NFL coach who steps out on the turf without zipping up.
Damn, it is cold out here. Damn. Did you stay inside longer? Did you stay inside longer because it's a little cold out here? Jeez. Yeah, I'd like to have 75 degrees and sunny all the time too, but that's not football.
This is Steelers football. 5-degree wind chill, intermittent snow, and a non-stop Steeler defense forcing a flurry of Bengal turnovers.
Now Blake is back. In the snow flurries, he falls down. The Steelers don't lose football. It's there for the taking. They die for it. There's a big pile up. The Steelers come up with a pigskin. Let's go! Let's go! Come on!
Greg Lloyd's shoulders soon replaced the weather as a topic of conversation.
Here we go. Greg Lloyd got a stinger. For the girl. Right now he's out. His strength's down.
Is he okay?
He's going to be okay just if he gets a little rest. But he's not listening to me.
He used to be a tough guy, too. You know that?
Lloyd ignored his doctor and Cincinnati's left tackle to force one of 3 Jeff Blake fumbles.
Lloyd gets to him. Loose football. Steelers have it. What a play by Greg Lloyd.
Okay, now you're back. Now you're back.
I told him my shoulder wouldn't hurt.
Good job.
Coach Cowher then used his healing powers in an effort to fix Cordell Stewart.
How come he had the huddle so close to the line of scrimmage? They can hear the play.
Opponents have heard that the young quarterback starts cold before heating up, and the Steelers managed just 2 first-half field goals as Stewart's passes were sailing in the wind.
Hey, throw the thing now. That thing's floating like a big... numbers. Oh, get the things warm. All right. So we're not playing bocce ball. You ever see bocce ball? You throw the thing real high in the air. I'm just trying to keep the game. You're driving me nuts. You're driving me nuts. Look like you're throwing a nurse ball out there. Throw it.
But Stewart owns the AFC's highest fourth-quarter passing rating, and his 2 second-half touchdowns buried the Bengals.
Leaping grab, Yancey, thick pen, and what a toss by Cordell Stewart.
Good job. That's where to throw the ball. That's where to throw the ball. Throw this thing, man. We tried to get you again.
Next Sunday's forecast calls for the Steelers to move easterly toward Philadelphia to face the Eagles. Coming up on HBO's Inside the NFL, the 49ers disposed of the Panthers and claimed another division title. And we take a look back at a running back responsible for a lot of San Francisco's success in the 80s, Roger Craig.
Does Bill Cowher get involved in the game or what? He certainly does. You know, I've known that fiery leader of the Steelers since 1989 when he was defensive coordinator under Marty Schottenheimer with the Kansas City Chiefs. In this week's cover story, we look at the Pittsburgh skipper from the viewpoint of those who have known him best over the years.
Get off each other. Let's have some damn fun today. Let's go.
Bill Cowher personifies the Steelers. His intensity and uncompromising spirit of competition have made this coach a perfect fit here.
I learned very early in life that it doesn't matter whether you win or lose.
Bill Cowher's competitive fires began burning a long time ago right here in Crafton, Pennsylvania, a small, unassuming town about 7 miles west of Three Rivers Stadium. But while his roots may be simple, his coaching style is complex. Cowher's parents, Laird and Dorothy, helped develop that style. They gave Bill solid values and sprinkled in a bit of their own coaching along the way.
I was a very staunch believer in some of the sayings that you would read, such as some that Vern Law would give. In other words, if you don't play to win, then why keep score? And experience is a tough teacher. The test comes first and the lesson follows.
It keeps you grounded, you know, never forgetting where you come from. You know, having grown up and parents, you know, instilling the qualities of hard work, commitment, and, you know, not taking yourself too seriously.
Lifelong friend Tim Mulholland recognized firsthand Bill's desire and drive to win back when they were both teenagers.
He would come up to the wrestling room, the high school wrestling room, and say, hey, you know, show me how to throw some people down here. Let me learn some techniques to throw people down so I can take them back to the football field and make myself a better player kind of thing.
Bill turned out to be the best athlete in his senior class. Always committed to friends and family, Cowher's life took on a new dimension in 1992 when he became head coach in his hometown.
It's a great feeling to come back to Pittsburgh.
You follow a football team since its inception in 1933, and you're an ardent fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and to say that your son is the head coach and he's had a very successful career, it's just it's something that you're very proud of.
I just remembered walking on the field before the Super Bowl and thinking that, you know, when this game was taking place, that my dad would be sitting in the same couch that I've sat with him watching those games for so many years, and there he was going to be watching, you know, his son out there.
Not surprisingly, family is what got Bill Cowher through that difficult loss in Super Bowl 30.
His goal as a player and as a coach at every level was always to win a Super Bowl, and he came that close. You know, we just needed a few quiet moments together, you know, to tell him. I think I said, "I'm sorry," and I think my daughter said, "Dad, no matter, you know, what happens, you're always going to be my hero." She had the perfect comment for him.
Cowher needs that support again this season. 2 weeks ago, the new stadium vote failed, and without new money to stay competitive, the team will likely continue to be dismantled by free agency. Already having lost 25 players, for Cowher, it goes beyond rebuilding.
The thing that's hard to see him is to see him walk out the door for the last time when you spend 3 or 4 years with him, every day of the week with him, and you know, and I get to know these guys as people, and I have a tremendous respect for them, and that's the tough thing.
While Cowher is admired for his compassion and ability to motivate, he is not without critics. Some call him too intense.
I'm trying, I'm working at it, I really am.
You're smiling, but does it concern you?
No, it does. Only thing that concerns me is I don't ever want to. I just hope I don't offend anybody. But at the same time, I really don't think there's anything wrong with showing emotion. I just have a great passion for my job.
Now Bill Cowher can make history. If his Steelers get to the playoffs, he'll be the only NFL coach ever to do that in each of his first 6 seasons. Not bad for the kid from Crafton.
And remember, we control the tempo in our house.
I think Bill Cowher is terrific. He's animated and emotional on the sidelines. And Nick, I think the players respond in a very positive way.
Yeah, everything that Pete Carroll of the Patriots is, and he ought to get on the same wavelength as Bill Cowher, because right now the Patriot players have tuned him out.
Well, coaching is like show business. You're only as good as your last performance. This time it's going to be Bill Cowher and the Steelers traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles, Jerry.
Well, you wonder how the Steelers can win when your quarterback, Cordell Stewart, 3 weeks in a row has passed for under 200 yards. Is that a National Football League quarterback? I don't think so. But guess what? They win on defense. The last 2 weeks, 10 turnovers. Steelers defense wins the game.
Sit back a little bit. You know, I was in Philadelphia this past week. They're all excited about the play of their young quarterback, Bobby Hoying. And at home, Philadelphia is very tough. Already, they've beaten Green Bay, Dallas, and Washington there. They only lost to San Francisco. Upset special. I like Philadelphia.
Oh, you're brainwashed by the Eagles.
I was in Philadelphia, let's see, 3 years ago. Now, how can you say that? You know, the Ravens last week against the Eagles, the rookie Jay Graham rushed for 150 yards. What do you think the bust Jerome Bettis is going to do? He is going to run that football. Pittsburgh is going to win.
Hey, I was in Philadelphia this week, too, and they're telling me that Ricky Watters is finding his way on the bench and eventually out of an Eagle uniform. And believe me, without Ricky, it'll be a quickie, and Pittsburgh will win.
I love that. Yeah. I wasn't in Washington last week. I won't be there this week, but the Giants will be. A very important game for both teams. Now, the Giants have won 6 of their last 7 games, and they enjoy a 1-game lead in the NFC East.
Well, they have the best cornerback in football, Jason Sehorn, and he anchors a defensive secondary that'll knock your jock off. They'll do that to Terry Allen, and the Giants win on the road.
You know, the Redskins defensive coordinator, though, Mike Nolan, is a magician. Here's a defense next to last in run defense, 17 sacks on the year, which is the worst in the National Football League, and yet they've allowed the 3rd fewest points in the league. Only San Francisco and Dallas have been better on defense than the Redskins. I'm staying with those guys. I like Washington.
I agree with you, and also Mike Nolan. Here's the defensive coordinator the last 4 years, was the defensive coordinator for the Giants. He knows that team very well. As a matter of fact, 10 of the 11 starters he coached. And also Chad Ratsky, the outstanding defensive lineman for the Giants, is out for the year. That means Allen will be able to run with that football, and Washington will win.
Washington. What about their coach, Norv Turner? What about that? 3rd and 7, have to convert to win the football game. He turns around, gives the ball to Brian Mitchell. They punt, they lose. I question whether he believes Gus Frerotte can get the job done. And Charles showed me the way. He'll run all over that Redskin defense. That guy will get it done.
We are talking a lot about coaches, are we not? You know, we talked earlier about Bill Cowher, but there's a coach in New Orleans who's also a master motivator and also from Western Pennsylvania. Let's see how Mike Ditka's Saints won their 2nd straight game.
This season, beating the Saints has been mere child's play. Last Sunday against Seattle, the league's lowest-ranked offense committed 5 turnovers.
Saints from the 39, short drop, firing, intercepted, picked off by the Seahawks. Darrell Williams, 25-20, they'll never get him. Touchdown, Seahawks.
The Saints' lack of punch provoked prickly fans.
Can't even make it. You can't even make a damn yard.
But 2 touchdowns by number 34 Ray Zellers provided New Orleans with a 17-10 fourth-quarter lead. Then a 34-yard scoring reception by James McKnight, number 82, knotted the game. With Seattle heating up, it appeared that the Saints had bitten off more than they could chew. But on the very first play of overtime, Warren Moon was picked off by Winfred Tubbs, number 54. Then Doug Bryan was immediately sent out to try a 38-yard field goal.
Royals to hold. The crowd will let you know. The Saints have won it.
We'll get some game balls out, later on. I think you understand right now. I tell you, fellas, I've been around a long time. I think we became a team today. We became a team. That's what it's all about. That's what it's gonna take. I'm so proud. I tell you what, I told you it ain't gonna be pretty. But I'm so proud of what you guys do. You got guts, you got heart, and you play to the limit. That's all I ask you to do. You'd be surprised how far you go in life with that going for you.
Last weekend, the Rams were wowed by classic footage of some of the NFL's mightiest warriors. But come game time, they played like pacifist pushovers.
Anderson right, left side. Anderson stiff arm, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touchdown. Jamal Anderson.
Jamal Anderson's stiff arm was soon trumped by the strong arm of Tony Banks, whose 266 yards included a 76-yard connection to Eddie Kennison, number 88. Rams erased a 10-point Atlanta advantage as 2 touchdown passes by Banks helped St. Louis go on top 21-17. But the Falcons eventually earned a season sweep over their NFC West foes.
Collins with the snap. It's a rollout play fake. A great sell as the touchdown catch is made by Kozlowski.
Oldies but goodies, Dan Reeves and Dick Vermeil both turned up in those timeless highlight films. But with 5 wins between them, this season has afforded less than classic viewing material. While the Lions' play this season hasn't always been pretty, they have looked their best when facing off against division rivals. It was no different against the Vikings as Detroit rolled up 477 yards of offense. 3 times the Lions got down to the 1-yard line, and 3 times touchdown Tommy Vardell proved worthy of his nickname. Fighting to stay in the game, the Vikings got a boost from number 26, Robert Smith.
Right side comes back left 20 at the 15. Foot race 10, 5, walks into the end zone. Touchdown, Vikings.
But there was no stopping the Lions, whose attack clicked with beautiful precision. With the win, the Lions remain in the hunt for an NFC wildcard berth, while the Vikings will try to rebound this Sunday against the New York Jets. Still life with Chicago has been a portrait of frustration this season, and against the Jets, the Bears' picture remained bleak and painful. The Jets scored 20 first-half points off of 5 Bear turnovers.
Picked off. Otis Smith has another. Down the right side. Across the 20. Across the 10. High kicks it into the end zone. Touchdown, Jets.
Before leaving the game with a knee injury, Glenn Foley lofted a pass that made up for in value what it lacked in beauty. Eric Kramer attempted a team record 60 passes, but his second-half heroics could not atone for Chicago's first-half catastrophe. The Jets hung on for the win to remain tied for first in the AFC East.
So Bill Parcells and the Jets win the game, but unfortunately they lose their starting quarterback. And Nick, this week they'll be hosting Minnesota.
Well, if Glenn Foley was starting for the Jets, Lenny, I'd pick the Jets. But Neil O'Donnell is the starter. He's indecisive, holds the ball too long in that pocket. This will give John Randall and Derek Alexander time to get to him. That's why I like the Vikings.
Well, they could help Neil O'Donnell if they do one thing, and that's run the football. But for the last month, the offensive line and the tight end, Kyle Brady, they haven't blocked anybody in the running game. And then the Otis Smith factor. Sure, he had a big game last week. Everybody's all excited, but he wasn't covering Chris Carter. Chris Carter will win the game for the Vikings.
Wait a minute. Why can't they run the ball against that football team? Last week, Detroit rushed for 211 yards. As a matter of fact, for the season, Vikings defense giving up 4.8 yards per rushing attempt. Plus, the Jets have the best special teams in the National Football League. I like the Jets.
Well, I know one team that's going to be running the football here, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. After 2.5 games missed because of an injury, Robert Smith comes back, and he makes all the difference in the world to that offense. They've become way too dependent on their passing game, but now with Robert Smith, I think you'll see them get back to their old form. I like Minnesota.
Well, make no mistake about it, this is a huge game for both clubs, but it cannot match the intensity of a rivalry like the Chiefs and the Broncos.
Elway, we're going to do this today, baby. Elway, you're going down. We want ours to play a fair game. Right along. And there's the salute. Neil, goodbye. We don't need you.
The 75th meeting between the Broncos and Chiefs was played on a high wire with no net and no let-up.
The passes caught by Rod Smith with an acrobatic catch at his own 19-yard line. And that was a phenomenal catch. Phenomenal catch.
Let's go, baby. Get in the end zone. Ride the crowd. Let's go.
John Elway and his visiting division leaders quickly surged to a 13-0 lead in a game overflowing with big plays and emotion.
Got it. Touchdown. Another excellent catch on the drive.
Denver 13, Kansas City nothing. And Tamarick Vanover needs to try to ignite this football team again.
They need somebody to make a big play. Somebody.
Elam with the kick, short spinner, taking at the 5. This is Vanover at the 20,
yes,
and it's
25, 30, breaks to the outside 40. Only Elam to beat. If he can get by Elam, he's going to do it for the 5th time in his career. Now a couple Broncos chase him down. I said ignite, ignition. They must take advantage of it. They got to score.
Gannon draw play. Marcus Allen up the middle.
Diving for the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas City. All right, they're back in the ball game.
Hey, man, we get that ball. We got to get some points, okay? Let's put points on the board. Points on the board. Let's go to work, baby.
What's going on?
Rich Gannon, Denver confused.
Get there. Get there. Oh, there it is.
Gannon turns left, pumps, throws late,
Wide open. Keenan Hughes, touchdown. Kansas City. The Chiefs can take the lead. Denver's defense had no clue what was going on. They were completely confused.
You go take the empty and he'll take the tight end. Gotcha. Or would you rather cover the back? What do you feel more comfortable? Back. He'll stay with the back. You stay with the line. Okay.
While Denver's defense regrouped, the Chiefs unleashed the unblockable Derek Thomas.
What you trying to do? Hurt our quarterback?
Thomas recorded his 100th career sack and led the assault on Elway.
And Kansas City has sacked Elway 6 times.
Cino, Denver, ex-Colorado.
14-13 Chiefs out of the eye. Marcus Allen left side. Touchdown. 119 touchdowns.
Number one. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, we are the man.
The man in crunch time is and always will be John Elway, and down by 2, he led yet another comeback.
Go win it, go win it, win it. Go win it. Yeah, win it. Yeah. That's it.
A 35-yard attempt by Jason Elam. Snap is good. It is down. Kick is up, and it is good.
Denver led 22-21 with exactly 1 minute remaining. The Chiefs had burned all their timeouts on Elway's last drive. There was little hope that backup journeyman Rich Gannon could upstage the master and conjure up a miracle.
Kansas City is still only at the Denver 44-yard line and just 10 seconds left in the game. 22-21 Broncos lead the Chiefs. Gannon to throw. Near sideline, caught by Rising. Puts on a juke move out of bounds at the 36 with 4 seconds left. And this will have to be it. Stojanovich will have to try for a game-winning field goal. This is it. Either way, a 55-yard field goal tried by Stojanovich. A line drive kick, and it is good! 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 Just over the crossbar with no time left. Pete Stojanovich for president. Kansas City somehow, some way wins this football game.
Let's not overlook what was achieved through your effort. That gives you an understanding of whether you're 25, 35, or 55, that if you continue to believe, if you continue to persevere, there's nothing that you can't achieve.
In another AFC West matchup, Junior Seau and his Chargers came out smoking against the Raiders.
Back to throw, looking, fires, tipped up in the air, intercepted by San Diego. Greg Jackson at the 20, to the 10, touchdown, San Diego.
San Diego took a quick lead before the game was taken over by one player, forgotten and little-used Harvey Williams, who jumped, jogged, and juked his way into the end zone all night long.
Tim Brown is right. Ricky Dudley on the right side of the line. It's a play-action pass. George throws. It is caught by Harvey Williams. First down, 20. And he's inside the 15, the 10, the 5. Harvey Williams has scored 4 touchdowns tonight. 4.
This week, the Chargers face the 49ers, a team that's won 10 straight on cruise control. They seem bored, and even their own announcers are just going through the motions.
First and 10, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. Back to throw, Steve Young. Play fake Owens on an end around. Instead, down the left side. All alone, Floyd in the 25, 20, 10, 5. He's going to try to push in. Yes, touchdown.
The Niners yada-yada'd and dum-de-dummed their way past the Panthers as Terry Kirby, blah, 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 et cetera, took the second half kickoff, 101 yards.
25 to the 30, to the 35 to the 40, and now it's a foot race. He's at the 40 down the left side. He's got a blocker in front of him, Chad Vann. 100 yards, maybe 101 on that kick return by Terry Kirby. What a play.
Carolina launched a bit of a comeback, highlighted by an acrobatic grab by Wesley Walls. But in the end, the smooth golden machine rolled on, adding yet another division title. Their 13th in 17 years.
Steve Young leaves the field elated, and why not? The 49ers have won 10 straight games, and we'll be in San Francisco next week to focus on the 49ers. Now it's time for our weekly Inside Update. Thursday's Kansas City Star newspaper reported that the NFL investigated Chiefs head football coach Marty Schottenheimer. Allegedly, Schottenheimer offered to pay fines assessed to his players if they were penalized for illegal hits in the Denver game last week. All week, Schottenheimer has denied placing a bounty on any of the Broncos. But 2 Chiefs told reporter Jason Whitlock that Marty made the statements. This further substantiates comments first attributed to Chiefs center Tim Grunhart. Grunhart was quoted on his radio show as saying, "Marty told us if you break someone's jaw or you hit somebody and knock them down, I'll take care of it." Marty will get his chance. On Thursday, Chiefs safety Jerome Woods was fined $10,000. Now for some more inside information, let's go to Chris Collinsworth and Gary Myers.
All right, Lenny, thanks. Well, Gary, apparently in St. Louis, the Lawrence Phillips experiment is now over. Dick Vermeil did everything he could to try and turn around the personal and professional career of this young man.
That's right, Chris, because on Thursday, the Rams gave up on Lawrence Phillips and they cut him. Now, the events leading up to that, in another of a series of meetings between Dick Vermeil and Lawrence Phillips took place Wednesday morning. Vermeil informed Phillips he would not be starting Sunday against Carolina. Now, according to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Vermeil also expressed concerns to Phillips about his off-the-field conduct including excessive use of alcohol, expressed concerns to him about being overweight. After that meeting, Lawrence Phillips left Rams Park, did not show up for the team meeting, did not show up for practice. The Rams then subsequently cut him on Thursday. Rams president John Shaw said the team was going to cut Phillips after the season anyhow, based on performance, and Phillips walking out on the team simply expedited the process.
Vermeil should have cut him the first day he got there. Let's talk about the New England Patriots. I'm sure that hasn't been a very pleasant week there.
This is really a team in turmoil, Chris. Not only did they play horribly in their loss to Tampa Bay, but a couple of days before that, Drew Bledsoe and a couple of his teammates were involved in that mosh pit incident at a Boston nightclub. Pete Carroll was not happy about that, said anything that affects the team's preparation and ability to win a game just really simply makes him sick. This week I spoke with Willie Clay, the Patriots safety, and he says this team right now, his confidence is at a low, which is amazing considering just, 9-10 months ago this team was in the Super Bowl. He says he even believes that some members of the team missed Bill Parcells' motivational tactics, which was actually motivating by fear. Players were afraid of losing their jobs. He says the team has confidence in Pete Carroll. But one thing he said, which is very interesting, he's really concerned if they happen to fall down by 10 to Miami in that crucial game on Sunday. He doesn't know how this team will react.
Now, are those the same players that thought Parcells got too much credit for this team?
They probably are.
Yeah, thank you very much. Earlier, we had a chance to talk to Mike Holmgren about the big game between the Packers and the Cowboys. But what is the Dallas Cowboys? What do they say about this?
Chris, this has really been a quiet week. You really don't hear anything going back and forth between Dallas and Green Bay. However, in training camp, when I had a chance to talk to Troy Aikman, he said the Packers really have to be concerned about their ability to beat Dallas simply because over the last 4 years, Dallas has defeated them 7 straight times. All those games were at Texas Stadium. And losing to a team so many times in a row has got to put doubt in your mind whether you can beat them, even if you've won a Super Bowl, which the Packers did last season. He says he's basing that on experience because the Cowboys had doubts whether they can beat the 49ers after losing to them 3 times in a row. Packers general manager Ron Wolf says even though the Packers have the Super Bowl ring, he's convinced the Cowboys have no respect for Green Bay, and when they play them, they play as if they have no respect for the Packers.
That will be a crazy scene in Green Bay this week.
You're right.
Thanks, Gary. Well, the subject of this week's Where Are They Now played on those 49er championship teams of the 80s and really personified the intelligence and work ethic that made San Francisco so dominant. Believe me, I know. Kirk County profiles the 49ers' multi-talented Roger Craig.
If you want to be the best, you have to work on all phases of the game. If I work hard at something, I can achieve anything in life, and that's my motto right today.
And that is what made Roger Craig one of the best all-purpose running backs to ever play the game. Drafted by San Francisco in 1983, Roger ran, Roger caught, and Roger scored touchdowns. In 1985, Roger became the only back in NFL history to gain over 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in one season. Most importantly, he helped the 49ers win 3 Super Bowls.
To be with the best team in the decade of the 80s, it was awesome. We called ourselves as one heartbeat. If everybody was on the same page and we had one heartbeat, there's no problems on the football field. I love those guys, man.
Roger's success had been a dream for Craig ever since he was a teenager living in Davenport, Iowa. It was then that Roger knew he needed to fulfill a promise he made to his father.
He was a mechanic, and he provided for us. He didn't get the opportunity to watch me blossom as an athlete, as a person, as a man. He died when he was 45 years old. I was a senior in high school. So I promised him that I was going to succeed before he died. That gave me the motivation to succeed.
Through all of Roger's success, he did face adversity. In the 4th quarter of the 1990 NFC Championship, Roger fumbled, costing the game. His team placed him on Plan B free agency, and Craig left for the Raiders and later the Vikings. That fumble was his last play as a 49er.
That's the only thing that haunts me the day that I didn't get a chance to redeem myself after that last play. At the time, I was kind of bitter, but I understood why now. It's a business. The thing that really diminished that, was being able to come back and retire back with the 49ers. That helped me the most.
In 1994, Craig did sign a one-day contract, and he retired a 49er. Today at age 37, Roger hasn't left San Francisco and still helps the 49ers. He worked closely with owner Eddie DeBartolo, campaigning for their new stadium deal. He also has investments and endorsements in athletic-related industries and organizes charity events.
Okay. Yep, slam dunk. Okay.
But Roger's greatest passion is his wife and 5 kids. His 2 oldest daughters are top athletes. His 15-year-old has won 3 national titles in Taekwondo. And Roger trains his 18-year-old who's been awarded a UCLA track scholarship.
To watch my daughters compete, it's exhilarating, man. I feel, man, I'll give up my Super Bowl rings to see my daughters win a national title. There's times when they do bad, but you got to be there as a parent just to caress them and give them love. You got to have the will to win, and I think that's instilled in me, and now I'm seeing it come out of my children, which is even more gratifying.
Roger's father would be very proud of his son today. Roger lives by the lessons he was taught long ago and is passing them down to the next generation. Roger wouldn't have it any other way.
Was Roger Craig in pretty good shape or what? I can't think of an athlete in the history of the National Football League that was in better shape.
You know, Lenny, he was a pioneer and innovative in that intense off-season workout program that most of the 49ers have adopted. I think there's one guy, the guy by the name of Jerry Rice. He's done that. And I don't think it's hurt him too much.
And it paid off because they were able to perform at a top level week after week after week, just like Jerry does, week after week after week in the pick segment.
Down on top of
well, it's pretty close. We did well last week, didn't we? Whoa, the best is 8-6-1 for the season. Still relatively close for the bottom 3 spots. Now, earlier in the show, we picked several games. Now it's time to pick the rest. Arizona travels to Baltimore. We all like the Ravens. Buffalo has to find out if Todd Collins can be their quarterback of the future. I think he is. I like the Bills, but my 3 friends like Tennessee at home. I stand alone on the next game as well. Nick, Chris, and Jerry all like Carolina. Put me down for Dick Vermeil's Rams team, despite Gerald Moore now replacing Lawrence Phillips, who was cut at running back. Paul Justin has earned the start in Indianapolis. We all agree that Detroit will win their 2nd straight game. Jacksonville looks to sweep the Cincinnati Bengals, who will start Boomer Esiason. We all agree the Jags will do it. San Diego couldn't beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl 3 years ago. They're not going to beat them now. And Tampa Bay will win their 9th game of the year when they defeat Chicago, assuring them a winning record for the first time since 1982. Now for the rest of the games in more detail. Let's start with Kansas City at Seattle. Kansas City has won 5 straight, 12 of the last 13 games against the Seahawks.
You know, the Seahawks, so many injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Cortez Kennedy, Sean Springs. But this is it for the Seahawks. They either win this game or they go home. I think they come up big. I like Seattle.
Well, Seattle's going to have to score a lot, Chris. Tough to do when you lose Brian Blades, your fine receiver. And couple that with the fact that the Chiefs' defense has not allowed a second-half touchdown in 6 ball games. Forget it. The Chiefs win.
Well, Warren Moon and the Seahawks last week could not beat the blitz of the New Orleans Saints. Now they're going against the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best blitz defensive teams in the National Football League. I'm going with the Chiefs.
The reason they can blitz is the play of Derek Thomas. He is fully recovered right now. He's going to win that matchup when Seattle left tackle Walter Jones lines up. They're going to find a way to get Derek on him. Kansas City will win. Miami at New England, Nick. The Dolphins are 13-3 against the Patriots in the 90s. This is the first meeting of the year.
You know, the offense of the Patriots has stumbled. One of the big reasons, Terry Glenn. He's missed 3 ball games. He only has 27 catches and 2 touchdowns this year. He really has misfired. New England loses to Miami.
You said the offense has stumbled. 0. No first downs in the whole first half last week with that talent. And I have to quote Pete Carroll. He said, "We have no direction." That comes from the head coach. Guess what? Miami will not have as good of players, but you can quote me, they will have direction. Fish win.
Oh, man, I love picking teams who come off of horrible performances, and that certainly qualifies for the New England Patriots. I think they'll bounce back here. I like New England.
Good weather in the Northeast on Sunday means bad news for the Patriots. Marino and company will pick apart that Pat zone defense. Miami will win. Jerry, we got New Orleans at Atlanta. The Falcons trying to sweep the Saints for the 3rd straight season.
And they have a healthy Chris Chandler. I talked to him this week, and he said we're going to protect that A gap, that center guard gap where the Saints love the blitz. But the real factor, Ed West, the old veteran tight end, he knows how to beat the blitz. I'm going with the Falcons.
You know, protection's been a problem for the New Orleans Saints this entire season. Remember last last time these two teams got together. Chuck Smith beat Willie Roaf about 5 times for sacks around the corner. I'm going with Atlanta.
Hey, Mike Dick has won 2 games in a row, but you think he's going to stand pat? Hell no. I'm going to make a change at quarterback. I'm putting Doug Nussmeier in there. And guess what? Ray Zeller goes to tailback. Even though it's innovative, that's not enough. The Falcons will win.
What about the Saints? They're still ranked 30th in points and yards. I like the Falcons as well. We've got Oakland at Denver. Napoleon Kaufman ran for 227 yards against the Broncos on October the 19th as the Raiders beat Denver 28-25.
Let's put things in perspective for Terrell Davis. Here's a young man that now in his 3rd or 4th year in the league is second only to Jim Brown in most yards per game throughout the course of his career. He's been phenomenal. He'll be the difference again. I like Denver.
Let's put something else in perspective,
all right, let's
Chris.
do that, yes.
Let's talk about the Raider defense. They did something they haven't done all year long. They played, but they paid a price, and they lost linebacker Mike Morton and safety Lorenzo Lynch against Denver. They don't have them, and they lose.
Well, something the Broncos never do. Last week at the end of the game, way too conservative. Offensive calls, defensive calls. I'll promise you Shanahan will never be conservative against Al Davis. Broncos win.
He has his money.
How about the tackling of the Oakland Raiders, particularly in the second half during this entire season? Kansas City was able to stop Terrell Davis last week in the second half. The Raiders will not be able to do that. I like Denver as well. Well, that's our show for this week. Remember, Inside the NFL premieres each Thursday evening at 11 p.m. If you miss any part of it, you can catch it again Fridays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Make your picks on our webpage and try to beat us. And join us next week from San Francisco as we take our show on the road to focus on the hottest team in the National Football League, the 49ers. Before we go, I would like to offer my condolences to the Aaron Brown family. Aaron Brown was a teammate of mine on Kansas City's Super Bowl championship team that defeated the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl IV. Aaron was killed in an automobile-related accident last week. Our condolences to the Aaron Brown family. See you next week from San Francisco.
Celebrating 25 years as the network of champions. This has been a presentation of